Fantastic. So, hey, welcome everybody. We are recording this because we are going to put all 6 of these Zoom calls onto our YouTube channel. And that's really important for you to know, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. So, first of all, I welcome you all to this as I was kind of brainstorming what I could do not only to bring value to the real estate agents in our community, but also to help myself. I realized that in getting together in a room, right, virtually with experts, it makes us all better, right? And I was really excited to do the first one on social media because I think it's really important that as agents, your sphere of influence knows that you're working on your business. And so when you're done with one of these classes, do a quick post that said, hey, today I learned this about appraisals, or I learned this about title, or whatever that might be. We're even going to have one of our underwriters come on. And so it's just a great way for you to spend the next 8 or 9 weeks. We've got them scheduled between now and the 1st of December to really just fine tune some of the things and ask the questions that you've been wanting to ask for a while. So thanks everybody for coming. I am going to invite all of you to comment. That is going to be your entry to win a prize. So you can just simply put hi. Unfortunately, the way Zoom works, we can't download who attended. And so that's our way of knowing you were here. And we are going to be giving away a gift card. You have to go to the live class or listen to the recorded class within 48 hours. If you are listening to the recorded class, do a comment on the YouTube channel, and that way we're going to know that you listened. Now, here's the really cool part. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and how do we mute everybody, Tyson? Let's see. Let's go ahead and have everybody mute except for Shelly and Justin, because you guys are going to be talking, and then we'll unmute if people want to participate, but that way we don't get any background noise. I came up with a really fun idea for a grand prize. Now, to be eligible for the grand prize, all you have to do is listen to all 6 classes, either live or on the YouTube channel, whatever is most convenient for you. And if you look at the chat box, I put the calendar of the classes at the very beginning if you want to just look at that, but we'll also get you the information. So the grand prize, drum roll please, is going to be a 2-night stay up in Bear Lake. We have a cabin that we built up there with beautiful views of the lake, and then a gift certificate to a restaurant up there for dinner. And so again, to be eligible for that, you do need to come to or listen to all 6 of the classes, okay? All right, did everyone go in and say hi that's here? Make sure that is your entry to win both today and to be entered into the grand prize. So let me know if you have any questions on that. Today's class is about social media. So I'm actually going to ask a favor of you guys before we start into the meats and potatoes about this. So this morning I posted a video on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And it was basically I said the question, what's one piece of financial advice you would give someone? And then I gave a little piece of advice. It really helps to gain traction when people interact, or in the case of TikTok, you stitch. Is that what it's called? Yeah, stitch. Sorry, I'm not super good at it all. Or it's called, I wrote it down, in Instagram, it's called a sequence, where you go in and you basically clip just the question part of what I did in the video, and then the video starts on you and you give your financial advice. Or if that blows your mind, right, because that's okay, just make a comment. I don't know how many of you remember cute Brenda Evans that was an agent here for about 25 years. She now lives in Montana, but she commented this morning on the Facebook one and just said, make 1 extra payment a year on your mortgage and pay it off a lot earlier. That's a great piece of advice, right? So it doesn't have to be house or mortgage related, but I would greatly appreciate that if later today you guys could jump on either TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook and go in and help me out with that video. And hopefully it's easy to figure out. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm really excited. I've got Justin Hutchins and Shelly Jamison on here with me. And I asked them to be part of this because over the years, I've watched them evolve over on their social media. And I also know for a fact that they're extremely successful with it. I talked with an agent the other day that I've known. She's been in the business about 20, 25 years. She normally does 25 to 30 a year. She's done 3 so far this year. I think she's got a 4th one in process. So she's just panicking, right? Justin and Shelly are both very humble people, but I will tell you that they're both having their best year ever. And so I'm gonna, you know what? Yesterday we had a conversation and I don't know where I put my notes. So Shelly, how many years have you been in the business again?
6.5 years.
Okay. And Justin, how many for you?
9 and 7/8.
Okay, cool. So nice. So I really want the questions to come from everybody that's on this call with us today. I've got a couple to begin, but I'm also going to be watching the chat. Tyson's going to be watching the chat. We really want to answer your questions. So as we go along, feel free to put your questions there. But first of all, and Justin and Shelly, just whoever wants to answer this first, how do you feel? Well, actually, let's start really simple. What percentage, and I know it can be hard to quantify, what percentage of your business do you feel comes from social media?
I'll start. So yesterday, I track everything and I keep track of where everything came from. I thought it was a little higher, but it's still pretty good. 55% of my business this year so far has come from social media.
Well,
So
and in my
half.
case, I think sometimes it's hard to quantify because they may have gotten to know you on social media and then someone they work with also recommended you. But those 2 things combined made them call you, but they said their coworker referred them, right?
Right.
So Justin, your thoughts on that?
Mine's, like you said, kind of hard to quantify because all my business is sphere of influence referral base. And so I went through the stuff that I've done already this year, and there are 7. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Okay. There are 7 transactions that I've closed this year that I could directly attribute to my relationship with that person on social media. And I found in July, I have a friend that sent me a message on Facebook, and I hadn't seen or talked to him. We just became friends on Facebook, but I haven't talked to him since my junior year in high school, which was 1994. And so in July, he said, "Hey, Justin, you interested in helping us find a new house?" So
that's the most beautiful message
I'm
ever.
like, "Hey, if it's in Utah, absolutely," because I didn't even know where he lived. I thought he was still in California. But he said, "Yeah, we're looking in Spanish Fork and Mapleton. So we're looking to buy ASAP." And we ended up closing 3 weeks later.
That
And
is just
so
absolutely phenomenal.
that was
And I
awesome.
really hope that everybody on here, that you guys have that you're already friends with Justin and Shelly. If not, just go through and cruise it because they actually do it differently, right? And I think the most important thing that I want everyone to understand before we get into the details here is that you don't have to be Shelly Jamison. You don't have to do it like Justin Hutchins or like me, right? In fact, it'll probably come across awkward if you do that. You need to find your own voice, and it's going to evolve over time, right? So that's actually my next question. How do you feel your social media evolved? And before you answer, I'm going to tell a little bit of a funny story. So a couple of years ago, Justin was like, "I really want to I hope it's okay, Justin.
That's
I'm
fine.
going to start doing video. And Justin's first video was 15 minutes of him talking. And it wasn't bad, but nobody is going to listen to 15 minutes of talking unless it's an interview style or part of it. Like, yeah, I mean, there's ways that 15 minutes work, but most of the time you need to be 1 minute or less. And in some cases, a lot of what I do is less than 10 seconds. But right, he just jumped in with both feet. So Shelly, how do you feel from the time you started, you evolved into who you are today? Because we're all changing, right? And trying things that don't work and then doing new things.
Yeah, I mean, what you said earlier is like you like to sing and dance on TikTok. I would never do that. It's just not my personality to sing and dance. So it's really important to be authentic because people are going to know it's fake. Um, but yes, I mean, I started doing something called Spanish for Happenings about 5 years ago. And then about maybe, I don't know, about 3 years ago, I started adding video to it, which of course was the most uncomfortable thing. And I sweat my way through it. But it's headed. You have to have video, right? You have to do video as uncomfortable as it is and how much we don't want to hear our voice or see the quirky things we say. We just have to do it anyway, because if you're not doing it, your competitor is, and you'll be left behind. So you have to keep moving forward with what's happening. And as uncomfortable as it is, you just have to do it anyway.
Okay. And do you feel like what's the biggest changes you made from what you thought you would be doing at the beginning to how you're handling it now? Did you originally have just a personal page and now you have personal and business? What are your thoughts on that?
I've always had business. There's so much benefit to having business, the behind the scenes of MetaSuite and all the things you can do there. If you're in this industry, you have to have a business page. It's just super beneficial. And Facebook now pays me to make reels because they like what I'm doing. I don't get paid a lot, but I probably make $18 a month. It's not a lot, but the more that I make reels, it goes into my advertising budget, right? So the more that you do what Facebook wants, the more Facebook will show you to everyone.
And I think we're going to get into some probably have some questions on that. So we'll circle back around to Facebook and the back end and business. So Justin, how do you feel like you've evolved since you first started using social media to how you're doing it now?
Now I'm down to 14-minute videos. No, I totally back up what Shelly just said with regard to video. And if you're not following or looking at Tom Ferry's stuff,
Okay.
most of his stuff is free. I've never signed up for his coaching or anything, but that is something he pushes, and he says the exact same thing. If you're not doing video, your competitor is, and it's super awkward. And I try to delete most of my stuff after I've tried 20 times to get it right. And then before what I post. But one of the things I love about this business also to kind of talk about that is that there are so many different ways to be successful. And like you said at the beginning, you don't have to be a Shelly, you don't have to be a Justin or a Bliss. I've found success with my stuff on my personal pages, and I don't. You're right. I can't track the metrics and see, besides views and stuff like that. But I've felt like if people have to opt in, I'm not going to get as much exposure, and maybe that's not true. But that's what I felt like, and so that's what I've done. And so you'll see a lot of my personal stuff mixed with business stuff, but I have a business page on Facebook. I have a business page on Instagram. I don't do TikTok at all. And I have LinkedIn. But it's all intermingled, and I try to keep a decent balance.
LinkedIn is something that that I've wondered about as a real estate agent. Do you use LinkedIn like you use Facebook and Instagram? Do you post stuff there also?
Yep, I got my first listing ever from LinkedIn. It was a friend from Pleasant Grove that said, "Hey, I saw you're in the business. Do you want to come list my house?"
Really? Okay,
Yep.
so if you know, everybody on the call, if you want more specifics about what Shelly's talking about or what Justin's talking about, go ahead and put those questions that you have into the comment section so that we can circle back. And if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of how they're doing those, let's make sure we do that. So I like that. So overall, oh, I like what you put, Brian. Embrace awkward. Yes, embrace awkward. We are not in junior high anymore. It's okay to be awkward. It's okay. If anybody bullies you, I'll come and beat them up. It's okay to be awkward. And you're gonna have to feel awkward before you take very many steps forward on social media. It's just the way it is. So
I will say, so I've been doing video for over 3 years. It's still uncomfortable. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I get it right the first time, but that's very rare. I say things, I do things, I whatever. You just keep going, and I am definitely better than I was 3 years ago. But I don't know that it's ever not going to feel uncomfortable. But if we're not chasing discomfort, then we're stuck.
And it works. We know that visibility creates a feeling of familiarity, and then that creates a connection. And aren't we really all just looking to connect with people that have questions about real estate, in my case, mortgages, right? So I like that. So overall, because I think you guys have kind of different strategies, how would you describe your strategies and kind of give us a rundown of what you do on a regular basis? So Justin, let's start with you.
I think consistency is what I try to remember. Whatever it is, just being consistent and doing it. And there's always a good, better, best scenario. You asked a little bit about evolution. And when I first started and I hadn't closed anything, all I was doing was posting articles, tips, tricks. Here's how to winterize your sprinkler system. Here's, what escrow means and stuff like that. And I started getting people commenting, hey, I really like the stuff you're posting. That's good information. And then, yeah, it evolved to,
So I'm going to stop you right there,
yeah,
because if you're not doing much in social media yet right now and you're not sure what to do, Justin just gave you the perfect recipe to start.
yep.
Look for things that are informational that all tie somehow back to real estate. So Justin, that was perfect. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was a great start because now it wasn't like I could post, stories of clients that I'd helped or homes I'm showing because I hadn't done anything yet. But I wanted to still be um, perceived, and perception is everything. Perceived as the expert. And so even stuff with that, I would say, well, um, my team and I, with 50 years of combined experience, are here to help you and things like that. So it wasn't like, hey, I got you in here a week ago. It was, I've got these resources to help you out, and I'm going to work really hard and do that for you and stuff. And so, yeah, and it was Tom Ferry's stuff that finally got me like, okay, you need to do video. People want to connect. And so my strategy, I guess, if you want to call it that, is I want to post what I like. If it's inspirational, I like going on and seeing other people's inspirational stuff. If it's informational, I like going on and learning stuff. If it's some way to connect. I actually love Shelly. I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but you put it on social media. But she had a really vulnerable, tender moment the other morning. She was outside the gym, I think, and just, man, whoa, that was something that was really powerful because it was like, oh, I can connect that. It didn't have anything to do with real estate. And that's the fun thing, is it's just like staying top of mind. I think the average that I heard years ago was that the average person thinks about buying or selling every 5 to 7 years. Maybe that's more, maybe that's less now. But that was like 10 years ago. And the idea is you just want to be top of mind when they do. And so we did this exercise with another mastermind group that I was part of that said, everyone write down your brands of toothpaste that you can think of. And we got in groups and we were able to come up with like 15 or 20 different brands. But at the top of everyone's list was like Crest and Colgate. And it's like, how do we become Crest and Colgate in regard to real estate? Because everybody knows 200 realtors. How are you the first person that they're going to think of? It's just consistency. It's just staying top of mind. And when people see you, they go, oh yeah, Justin's a realtor and my friend was thinking about this and stuff. So that's my
And so,
strategy.
and so now that you are more established, I've noticed a shift in in what you post. So kind of
Mhm.
share how you do that now.
So now it's still informational. I still want to be regarded as the expert. And if you have a question with anything but the other thing that I've learned, especially from other mentors and things like that, is people love stories. So it's fine to post that you just closed this or you just got under contract, but I think almost every time there's some kind of story. These guys tried to buy a home 3 years ago when the market was nuts and people were paying 50 grand above appraisal. They were just priced out of the market as first time buyers. Guess what? They just came back and were able to finally buy something. Congratulations. Even if it's 7%, 8%, they finally got into a home and they got out of the rent trap. Or these guys, had a first investment property that they've been looking to wait for. That was my recent one, I think, because a friend wanted to buy investment stuff like years ago and now is finally able to. And so again, spurring those, I get lots of comments and not necessarily even on Facebook. I'll run into people and they'll be like, oh, that was such a cool story about these people. I've been
Yeah.
thinking about buying an investment property. Can we chat? And that's been
We
really cool.
connect through story, and I like
Yeah.
that. In fact,
Yeah.
you inspired Tyson and I about a week ago. We went to lunch and we took our closings that we'd had this year and we just a list and we just went through and was like, what story do we have with these? And I
Mm.
remember one of my clients, they live in LA and he's been a janitor for 40 years and they've rented for 40 years and she's blind and they have some of their adult kiddos that live here. And so they wanted to buy a house here. And that closing, that experience with them was just very rewarding for me, to help someone that's in their, early 60s to buy their first home and their joy for it and their kids' excitement for them. It was super rewarding. And I wouldn't have thought of doing that. Justin, you were just like a really good example for that. So I appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it. That's cool.
And so those of you that have been agents for a while, look back. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. It could have been a closing from 3 years ago, but what about it? Where's the story in it, right? That you could share that might be either inspirational or overcame a problem or you're just grateful. I think gratitude is a really powerful thing when you express that on social media. Maybe you have a client that you've done, 5, 6 loans for them and their family or transactions. So cool. All right. So Shelly, tell me kind of because I know you're pretty organized with how you do it. Share that with us.
Yes, again, I use MetaSuite for a lot of things. I know a lot of people will pay, I think Hootsuite and a few other places you can pay to have it like post to all your social media. MetaSuite is a free version of that where it will post to Facebook and Instagram. And that's where I post most of my or schedule most of my posts to go out. And so that's where I organize it. And of course, it's free to use. It's just something I can do when I have time. You can schedule a month in advance. It used to be 75 days in advance, but now it's only 30. But I can get in there and I actually pay someone to make my social media, like with my brand photos and my brand colors. And then she creates it in Canva. I go through and I edit and make it the way that's more organic to what I would say.
And do you mind if I ask
And then
what you're paying her and how many hours a week she's working? Because I think that could be real applicable for someone looking to get
well,
help.
she just does it once a month. She creates everything for a whole month ahead of time. I think I pay her $150.
Nice.
So if you
Nice.
want her contact information, so she makes a certain amount of reels for me. We've decided like what, obviously I want more reels because video is where it's at. And so I do a certain amount of reels. I do a certain amount of static posts. I do a certain amount of like funny versus informational because I like to have a variety of everything. So, and then we go along with the season. So right now everything is funny for Halloween, like things that go with Halloween. The next November is like Thanksgiving things. Christmas will be geared towards that. She's super creative. She's super quick. Um, anyway, if you want her contact information, I can post it later. But I know we were talking just a minute ago about how like Justin does it and how I do it. And I love that everyone can be so different. So I saw a need in Spanish Fort where everyone on the community Facebook pages would say, does anybody know what's being built over here? Or like, what's going on over here? I saw a need and I filled that need, and it's been super successful. So as far as scheduling goes, I write an article every month called Spanish Fork Happenings, and it's everything going on in Spanish Fork, what's new, like what kind of programs are going on through the city.
Where do you get that information? Are you involved in the city somehow, or how do you gather it? Because I think every city of everybody on here, I think this could be a really valuable thing for you.
Yeah, yes. All over. I contact the people directly. I read a lot of agendas and minutes from city meetings. I go to city meetings. I talk to city council members. I'm on the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce, so I'm super involved with the city. So yeah, I gather my
Kind of like a
information from a
real
lot of
job, right? Kind of like you have a real job that you have to work
It's
at.
been successful. Yeah, it works out really well.
I love
And
it.
not only do I know what's going on, I'm helpful to my clients, right? I'm the specialist in this area. Like I know Spanish Fork very well. I know what's coming and what's happening. So I write an article the first Thursday of the month, post to social media. People who sign up for my newsletter get it a day before. So I have a lot of people that sign up for my newsletter knowing that they'll get that information before the general public. And then the second Thursday of the month, I do market stats for just Spanish Fork. I make a video of just like what is just the average in the Spanish Fork. It's kind of just like a teaser so that people are aware of what things are. I give a little bit of information, but again, staying under a minute is really hard to do that. And then I make slides for all of the 6 major cities in South Utah County of like their average. So people are fully aware of like or South Utah Valley and Spanish Fork specifically.
Well, and I think, Justin, I know you're in Elkridge. Does Elkridge have just a community Facebook page for information?
It's mostly to complain about stray dogs and cats, right, Brian?
And I've lived in Lehigh for 10 years, and now I'm in Saratoga Springs, and obviously those two places are huge.
Yeah.
But I think taking the community that you live in, or and giving that kind of information and becoming involved in those areas, and then sharing that information, it just makes you look like an expert, right?
It's huge. Yeah. Gary Vaynerchuk, who's kind of a social media marketing guru, suggests that we become the digital mayor of our town or city. And I think Shelly's done that. I mean, I would vote for her too. But she's in the know on all things Spanish Fork. She is the expert with being in the Chamber of Commerce and stuff. So that's been really awesome.
And I will say it's very non-threatening. You know, people see us as like, we're going to do something to them. We're going to put a for sale sign in their house and make them sell. They don't like that feeling of salesy. I don't come salesy. I'm literally telling you there's a McDonald's coming to Spanish Fork, but it's consistent and they know they can trust me because when I say that the land that's nothing right now will be a McDonald's, and when McDonald's pops up 8 months later, they're like, Shelly knows what she's talking about. So, and it's not hard. It's not like the information's hard to get, but again, they know they can trust me, and it's very non-threatening because I'm not saying, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell? It's totally in a roundabout way. And so, like Justin said, where someone just reached out and said, hey, do you want to sell my house? That happens all the time to me because they have known me over the last 3 to 5 years that I show up consistently every month. They know they can trust me. They maybe like my personality through the videos and everything. And then they already know me. Like they feel like they know me. And so then they call me, say, can you sell my house? And I say, yes. Easy.
I like that. Well, and as a side note to that, Carla Patton, she's actually on the Pleasant Grove Planning and Zoning Committee within the city. And so that's not directly social media, but anytime you get involved in something within your city, it's going to give you information that you can use on social media that then just reflects back on you kind of being that expert in that area of real estate. So highly recommend that. Is anybody here on our call today involved in any way like that on anything within their cities? And I know we've got Sherry, she's involved, and Justin, you guys are involved on the UCAR board. I think there's value there as well, that you could take tidbits from the things that you're involved in with the Utah Association of Realtors, the Utah County, and just say, hey, super simple. I was in a meeting today and we discussed this. Just something that's valuable to the general public. People want to peek into your life, right? I think it's a good opportunity for you to look and see what you're doing. Oh, Millie. Yeah. So Millie Kilpack, one of my favorite people, she's on the executive committee for Primary Children's in Lehigh. Right, what a really cool thing. That has absolutely nothing to do with real estate. But Millie, she has 2 handicapped children and she's heavily involved in that, in that space. But then we all want a sense of community, right? And I know when I used to do the coaching and training, I had someone that I was coaching in Louisiana, and she got her nails done at a salon that was run by Vietnamese people. And she told me, I forget the percentage of her business, but she had done so many loans for this Vietnamese community in Podunk, Louisiana, where she lived, because she did her nails there and she just talked with them. And then that community trusted her. So they just said, you've got to use Louise, my lender, because I trust her. And the people within that community absolutely took that advice. And so in getting involved, even if it's not real estate related, you're getting involved in community and you're getting involved with other people that are passionate about that community. Justin has volleyball. I know we've done a lot of loans for volleyball coaches. So thank you, Justin.
Yeah,
And I don't even
I was
play
just
volleyball.
I was just gonna say, it's fun to find a niche that you're, whether it's sports or community or being involved in stuff like that. A lot of my sphere of influence is like you said with volleyball, because that was my past career. So that's who my people are. That's who I know. That's who I'm staying in front of on social media. So for that reason, I spend money to advertise at BYU volleyball games. And I'll even post that on my social media because that community is like they're connecting and I just want to be top of mind. I'm not expecting someone to be sitting in the field house calling, hey, I saw your face on that banner. Do you want to help me sell a house? That's not the reason. Thank you.
While I
That's not
was
the
on the
reason.
court
It's to
serving.
stay, yes. But I want to stay top of mind with the people that already know me and just remind them what I'm doing now. And that's another way.
Well, and I think it's important to remember. So I've been in the business 32 years, which is a really long time. I know Tyson's been doing it 5 years, and we've got a big variety of how long we've all been doing it. But most of us pretty much plan on staying in this industry. So those people that might see your stuff, that it might be 5 years, but wouldn't you like to guarantee some business for 5 years from now, right?
Mhm.
So here's a question for you. How do you grow the number of people that see you on social media? Do you friend everybody you know? What do you do to get more connections so you have more eyeballs? So take whichever one of you wants to answer, or anybody else on here that'd like to share something as well.
I'll
I
go.
can speak.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Shelly.
Go ahead,
you're
Shelly.
Okay. So of course I post my Spanish Fork happenings and then I share it to all of the community pages in the surrounding cities because a lot of people come to Spanish Fork to shop here because we have major retailers. I sometimes will boost it. I should be better about boosting it or advertising it. It's funny because the algorithm changes. I had a post that was organic and 30,000 people saw it. I
What
don't
was
know
the post
why.
about? I'm curious.
Spanish happenings. It was just a Spanish Fork happenings post that,
Cool.
and so yes, I can boost it. I share it to community pages. And this kind of goes with what Justin was saying. He doesn't have a business page, but I take stuff from my business page and share it to my personal page. So you can do that as well. So there are definitely pros of having a business page and you can still utilize your personal page. But yeah, I share it to my personal page. I share it to my business page. I do giveaways. I see that that's probably one of the things that people miss a lot is that they create this amazing content and they have 20 followers. It's like nobody's seeing your content. So you really have to find a way to get people to follow you, whatever way that is. Um, I mean, nobody followed me in the beginning. I had, people that felt sorry for me followed me. So, and then it just over time, I
My
have
Our
mom.
mom's
2,500
great.
now that follow my business page. So, but I think the more that you bring value, the more people are like, I want to follow this person because what they're saying is valuable. So there's lots of ways to get followers, but in the beginning, I did a lot of contests, like share this, you have to like my page, blah, 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 and then you could win this. But it just happens over time. I mean, none of this happened overnight. I've been doing it for a long time, but I started to see like the fruits of my labors probably after about 2 years.
And when you first meet someone, say in a social setting, not a digital setting, do you go and send them a friend request?
No.
Okay. Justin, how about you? How do you grow
I
eyeballs?
do. Not after the first time I meet him, that's creepy. But I I think like just being out. So again, I try and stay involved in the community as much as I can. I coach club volleyball teams. I'm at my kids' sporting events. And I will be the first to tell you, I am not an extrovert. It's painful sometimes to me to be social. I would much rather just sit and be a homebody. Hence, I'm in my home office. But when I'm at the gym, when I'm out, I I would say I'm cordial, I'm kind. I smile at people. I'm very quick to smile, and I think that lets people's guard down. And so it's easy. And I'll ask if they have a kid that's playing football with my kid, for example. Sorry, my dog is going nuts. If they're and I if their kid's amazing, I'll turn to them and go, "Your kid's amazing. That's awesome." And it always sparks, conversation and stuff. And so if I feel like we connect, then a lot of times I'll friend request them, or I'll go follow them
Right.
on Instagram or something like that, and they usually follow back, and
Yeah.
then a
Well, I
friendship's made.
know when I first got on Facebook, it was 2009, and I was doing a lot of coaching and training, and I did not understand Facebook at all. And there would be all these friend requests, and I just like push the button like crazy. I'm like, I want more friends. And then one person sent me a message. I don't know you. Why would you even think that I would want to be your friend? And I'm like, oh, maybe that's not the purpose of this. And so, I do personally, if I talk with someone and they're interested in a mortgage and we have a good conversation, I will go and send them a friend request and send them a direct message saying it was, even though I emailed, even though I texted, I will send a direct message saying it was so great chatting with you. I also have a business page where I share information about the market and that type of thing. If you'd like to follow, great. And so I think we need to put some effort into not only our content, but into the number of eyeballs that are seeing our content. And it's honestly why at the beginning I asked you guys to help me out with my post today to either comment, stitch, or whatever that other word was, sequence, because I know you guys have great spheres of influence. And if you go and do that with my post, it then creates a ripple effect. And so that's the other one I kind of want to touch on is I think it's very important in our industry that we support each other, right? We're better together. I went to a Halloween party last Saturday, Crystal Worthen, who's a fabulous agent. And when I got home, my husband's like, well, how was it? I'm like, it was good. At the beginning, it was just kind of her family and some neighbors, but then some other agents that I know came. Sherry, you were there. And he's like, well, she invited other agents. Aren't they her competition? Now, you have to understand, my husband is a professor. He teaches exercise physiology. He doesn't understand sales and marketing at all. And I'm like, well, they're friends. They like support each other. He's like, really? Huh. But I think that that's important, that we do support each other, right? And that when you see, Justin had this freaking beautiful listing yesterday, which I was just drooling over, even though I'm in the downsize phase of my life, right? But I commented because really there was something in that house that I've always loved, and that's indoor brick, like in a kitchen. I think that's super cool, right? So Justin and Shelley, what are your thoughts about you interacting with other people to create momentum? So Justin, why don't you go and start on that one?
I think I've heard, so again, going back to Tom Ferry, I think that they've talked about, and Shelley mentioned before, like there's a magic formula of static posts, video, and how often and stuff like that. And so I've kind of followed that and tried to pay attention, although I'm not exact on it. But one
So
thing
can
they
I
all,
pause you right there, Justin? Is
yeah,
that something that you could find an explanation of and send to me and I could share with everyone? Because
sure,
I would love to see it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and I'll share that with everybody on the call.
He
Okay.
talked about it at the summit that he did, and so I'll try and find that. But yeah, it's going, I think there's that he talks about, like, you engage, the more you're commenting on other people's posts and responding. Even Facebook coaches you. I think Instagram does too. They'll send you a little message. The more you respond, the more it's going to boost. And so that's why it's funny, because you respond to me, I respond to you, you respond back. I think we're both trying to get that connection going. And
But it was
so you never want to be
authentic,
the
right?
last one. Oh,
We
totally.
weren't trying to just boost something. We were really
Right.
authentically having a conversation about this beautiful house. Yeah.
Right. And that's why it's funny, because I post a lot of my listings on like the Facebook marketplace and stuff, and holy moly, the keyboard warriors come out. Shelley knows. You guys probably all
In
know.
a bad way?
Oh my gosh. How can you do this? You're a crook and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I didn't set the price. Like,
Here's the thing, and Justin knows this. We can argue all day long with people or engage with them, and it helps our cause, right?
right.
People come at us and they're pissed off because Target's coming. Like I literally built Target. They're mad at me because I'm announcing it. But the more they speak on my posts, the more it does good for me. So let them argue on your posts. And Justin,
Yep.
you're a jerk, Justin. And how could you list that house for whatever? And it's like, just keep coming, just it helps
Yep.
us.
It's
So
so interesting that
while
you
it
say that.
looks, sorry.
Oh, I said it's so interesting you say that because I've actually had a couple of videos go viral and I got some not great stuff on there. And I'm like, delete, 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 delete. And I'm like, okay, no, wait a minute. We're just gonna let it sit there. If you want to be, yeah, I will. There are certain things I still will delete. There's certain words.
Oftentimes people will come to your defense for you. You don't even have
Yeah,
to say
they
anything.
do.
And it's
Absolutely.
awesome.
So I think that's important. Awesome. Any other thoughts, Shelley? All right. So here's what I want to ask you. What piece of advice would you guys give after kind of becoming successful in your business due to social media? What's one or two pieces of advice you would give to other agents of what they could go and really just start doing right away? So Shelley, let's start with you.
Two things. So one is fill a need. Like I think there's a lot of need for education. Like a lot of agents know things, but we don't share what we know. And it really has to be dumbed down. Like Justin said, what is escrow? I was just having a conversation with my girlfriend. Bless her heart. She's like, how do I get money out of my escrow account? And I was like, I think you're confusing escrow with equity, and so we know a lot of information, but the general public doesn't know. And I think if we just literally share super basic information that might seem really dumb to people in our industry, but we're not working for people in our industry. We're working for the people who don't know anything about our industry. And then again, you look like an educator, and people know they can come to you for valid information. The other thing, of course, I'm going to say is consistency. You have to be consistent. And that's why I like MetaSuite, because I can go in and be like, oh my gosh, I've missed a few days to post for the next week. And I can see that I have everything I need. And that's why I hire someone to make content so I can literally just post it, add my 2 cents of something in my personality, what I would say. And then I know that it's consistent. I know that every day it will pop up. It's funny, sometimes something will pop up on my feed and I'm like, oh, that's a good article. And I'm like, oh, that's my article. Like, because I posted it 30 days ago. And I'm like, oh, look at that. That's cute. And I'm like, oh, that's mine. Like, I forgot about it. So
Yeah.
I just think you have to be consistent because with
I
so
agree.
many people in the industry, you have to show that. And Justin said this, the perception is that you are busy, whether you're not. show that you're working, I mean, go through model homes and do all these things. That doesn't require a client, but it's still staying busy and top of mind.
And I think the reason most people struggle is related to time management and being organized. And I struggled a lot with that. So I actually I use Google Docs for everything, or Google Drive. And so I have a spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet, I have some different tabs. And one tab is basically my ideas going forward. So right now I have through December 31st, and I have different colors if I've already posted, or if I'm going to post, or if I need to do more work. But then I have an idea tab where if I see something that I like, it's just a future idea. I never have run out of ideas. And not very many of them are original. I'll be honest with you. Most of them, I see something and then I just put my own twist on it. And so yesterday I had something different in mind, but I saw a video of somebody. The news was interviewing, and he was slurring his words talking about home ownership. And I don't necessarily want to point out people's missteps, but to me, it was just so funny because I had just done a video about how the word meow is in home ownership. And so I did a duet, which is basically I'm on this side of the screen and this video of this person talking is this side of the screen. You can't hear me, but I'm like this. And then I just crack up at what he says. It's like 6 seconds long. And on TikTok, I've got like, I don't know, 10,000 views on that or something. So sometimes just by seeing other people's stuff, you can be inspired. I think it's a great idea. And I don't know if you can do it through Tom Ferry or other places, but being in real estate communities that are in other parts of the country on social media, interacting and sharing ideas because they're not in the same market as you, right? You don't want to necessarily take what Justin just did this morning and post it unless you share it. Then that's a cool thing, I think, right? But you can get ideas from other people, and you may even it may just spark you to have an idea that goes in a different direction, right? Just to be inspired. So that's cool.
That's
Justin,
why we
how
follow
about
other
you?
agents to rip off and duplicate them.
R&D. Yep.
Yes. And I actually, I'm friends with a lot of loan officers around the country from when I was doing the training, I will shoot a little message to them. Oh my goodness, that was adorable. Do you mind if I share it? Or that was informational. Do you mind if I share it? Yeah. Because I actually don't want to share it from their name, but I don't want them to see that I posted it and think, because people take my stuff a lot and they don't credit it back to me, but I want to make sure they know I went to them and I said, hey, this is really cute. Do you mind if I use this idea? Yeah. So yeah. So awesome. Justin, any 1 to 2 things that you would recommend?
Yeah, so I think we talked about good, better, best, and start with the good. If it is starting with just posting articles, do that. An easy thing to do would be we get those market stats from the MLS every so often.
And they're really nice format, aren't they?
It's a great format, but here's my issue with that, and not to disparage anybody, most people just repost it. So what? The average person isn't even going to look at that, let alone know how to interpret it. It says 2023, 2022 versus this, and here's this bubble and days on market. Pick 1 or 2 things that came out of that stat bubble and even have it as your background on Instagram and go, hey, these stats came out. Look at days on market. We jumped from 12 to 46. That means da 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 da. Super simple. Most everyone's just going to regurgitate that information, but it's another way for you to be an expert, and you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to research it yourself. It's just you. And I think that there is
really good idea.
So good, better, best.
And if you don't know how to do it, it's fairly easy. You basically have an image that is your background. So instead of seeing your office behind that, you're going to see that.
It's
and
like
then you can kind of point.
Yeah.
Right. It's the green screen effect or filter or whatever.
So super easy. And those get pushed a lot according to Tom Ferry with that. So so that would be good. Start with the good, then get better, and be you. Bliss, I talked to you just last week, I think, about this archetype quiz that
Yeah, I took it.
basically, yeah,
Yep.
so you did that. I know Brian did it. You take this quiz, if you guys want to write down, and I'll put in the comments, Kay Putnam, Kaye Putnam, Putnam, does this archetype quiz. So you answer questions and it basically spits out like, this is your brand, quote unquote, and here's other similar brands like IKEA or Target or something like that, and how they do their marketing would fit your personality style and stuff. And so mine came back as the guy next door
Mhm.
was my archetype. And I was like, cool, okay, that I kind of already knew that, but it reinforced like, this is you. And I think Bliss, yours came out with the entertainer,
It did come back as
right?
an entertainer, and I'm
Because you were
oh.
like, oh, should I be dancing? Should I be doing this TikTok stuff? That is your true self. And people that know
So,
you see
yeah.
that.
And so then I took that. And so when
Mhm.
I'm working in Chat GPT, and
Right.
that's a whole different topic, but I basically say my archetype is entertainer, and I want to write something anyway. So that gets into a lot more information, but there's
Yep.
so much help out there for you. There really is.
Yeah.
Justin, we have a question here of is there a specific Tom Ferry podcast, YouTube, etc., that you recommend?
His website is a great direct source.
Okay.
So he has all his blogs and content on the website, on the Tom Ferry website. Um, and you can even search different topics like social media and stuff like that. Like I said, I've never paid for his coaching. Hallelujah, and
Yeah.
praise that he does so many things for free and offers a lot of insights and stuff. I went to a summit, like I said, up in Salt Lake. He came this summer, and that was awesome. It was really fun to be able to do that, and it just gives ideas. And that's where he gave a lot of stuff on Chat GPT. He's super techie.
Yeah.
He loves all the tools. He loves all the apps and things like that. And those are ways again to be the expert, to show our knowledge and stuff like that. And
Can I chime in for a second? So
yeah,
Tom Ferry, so I am coached by Tom Ferry. Well, not him, but a coach of Tom Ferry. The Tom Ferry podcast experience is a podcast that he does with Jason Pantana. If you know Jason Pantana, he's like a social media guru of like what you should be doing. So I would follow Jason Pantana on Instagram for sure. But the Tom Ferry podcast experience has it's maybe like a 15-minute podcast, which I love because it's straight to the point, in and get out. And it's just a wealth of information. Yeah, Tom Ferry has a lot of information. Some of them are so overwhelming that you're like, skip, because I'm not even there yet. But I think you can take a little bit from each podcast.
Cool. That's awesome.
for
And
sure.
Shelly did put her social media person that helps her in there. And so if you guys want to get some help with that, but we are about done with time. So I want to make sure everybody at one point commented so that you'll be eligible to win the prize next week when we go and do that. Also, reminder to watch for emails of upcoming classes so that you can win a little getaway. And if you have any suggestions or ideas, feel free to reach out to any of us, or if you have questions, would love for you to make comments on social media, sharing this information or any other inspiration that you have. Let's all help each other to grow. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you being on here, and I hope you all have a great day, and a special thanks to Justin and Shelly.
Thanks, Bliss.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.